Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to do a little bit more of a part 2 of the recent video that I did in regarding the alleged catastrophic Fast and Furious car chase that happened around New York, because a lot more things have come out since. So I thought I'm going to do a part 2, and at some point this week, I'm also going to be talking about the court case, because that was the video that I was going to do last week before all of this blew up. So I will be doing that and covering that. So yes, this one is kind of like a part 2 in the things that have come out since that first video. So if you want to join me in this, most of you know what to do by now, and if you don't, grab your drink of choice, because you're sitting back relaxing. So whatever your drink of choice is, whether it be tea, whether it be coffee, or whether you're like joining with me with the cherries and berries, or whether it is that you want to sit in the garden with a nice glass of lemonade or Sprite or a Diet Coke or a Pepsi, or maybe you would like to add a little something to that drink of choice, because as the flag says behind me, it is 5 o'clock somewhere. So grab that drink and let's dive right in. So unless you have been asleep, I am pretty sure by now everybody knows about what happened last week when Meghan went to this paid for award, because it was. And obviously a lot of things have come out since. They have been absolutely ridiculed over this, and I think whatever their reasoning behind setting this up, it has fundamentally, catastrophically backfired, to the point where they've kind of gone into hiding. It looks that they have not a peep. Obviously their flying monkey, Scobie, has come out and done his little bit, although he is trying to backtrack just a little bit. When the mayor come out and spoke, he was like, oh well, we are kind of going more with Harry and Meghan's feelings as as opposed to facts, which, let's be honest, that's what Harry and Meghan do. It's their truth, and because it's their truth, it is the truth. But of course, as most of us intelligent people know, truth is backed by facts and evidence, not feelings. So what has come out since? So aside from the fact that the world and his wife have come out and spoken, you've got Candace Owens, obviously the usual Megyn Kelly, Dan Wootton, Piers Morgan, Sky News Australia, but we've also had Caitlyn Jenner speak out. Whoopi Goldberg has spoken out, and no one believes them. And I don't really understand how they thought they could get away with this. I don't know whether or not in their own ego they actually believed that this was going to garner the sympathy that I believe that they were hoping it would. And a lot of this, I think, is because they have been getting so much negative press. Harry was a non-event in the coronation. Everything that Meghan is trying to do doesn't really go anywhere, and we know that they go for the sympathy. It's almost like they try all these things, nothing works, so let's go for the sympathy. Because in a lot of cases, when celebrities come out with a sympathetic story, for the most part, people do sympathize with them. But I think it's because these two, this is all they do. They everywhere they go, they create drama everywhere. And I just think people are so sick and tired of, that's their currency. If it's not milking the royal titles and the connection to the royal family, it is they're victims with everything. Rather than just going on about their lives as just normal people, they just create this victim story everywhere they go. There has to be something. And everything that she tries to do, like this alleged kind of, oh, she had dinner with Cameron Diaz and Gwyneth Paltrow. And I think she thinks that people are not going to come out and say that didn't happen. And they don't directly say it, but they kind of do it in, like, Gwyneth Paltrow put out a post on her Instagram in saying that she spent Mother's Day with her daughter. So that proved that she wasn't at this restaurant. She was actually at home with her daughter. So they kind of do this thing. And apparently Cameron Diaz also said that she turned up there, that I think they were there, but they weren't actually with Harry and Meghan. They didn't dine with Harry and Meghan. So it's kind of like her PR team are just in overdrive, trying to, in a sense, get her to be seen. And then you have things that are coming out where people are at parties, and they're actually now doing interviews where they're saying, you know, I was at a party, and I will put some videos at the end, like I always do, like to show some evidence of what has come out. But this guy is basically saying, I was at this event, this party, and the person that I was talking to was actually getting texts from Meghan while he was there, pretty much begging to come to this party or begging to get together. And apparently this is kind of what she's doing. She is literally contacting whoever will listen and begging to get together with them, to be seen as if she's far more popular than what she actually is. And people are not interested. A-listers are not interested in her because she isn't anybody. You know, even they can see that all she did was marry into the royal family. And then what she's done since then is attack that family for the very thing that she's been given, because without that, she would not be anything. She wouldn't have the Oprah interview. She wouldn't have Spotify. She wouldn't have Netflix. She wouldn't be going to or being able to buy these awards even, because nobody would be interested. Because if they were, they would have been interested in her before she married Harry. There was nothing. And I think most A-listers know this. And this whole thing that happened in New York, like a lot of people have pointed out, there are far more bigger celebrities. There was the event with the Kardashians. Now, I say, whether you like them or not, they have a lot more pulling power, in a sense, than what those two do. And even they were at this Disney event, and they were not chased by paparazzi. They turned up, they did their thing. They know how to play the game. They turn up, they give these paps their photos, and then the paps leave them alone. So apparently what was also going along was the fact that Harry and Meghan wanted to book into the Carlisle Hotel. And again, the connection to Diana, because apparently it was Diana's favourite hotel when she was in New York. And so what they wanted was this huge discount, and the Carlisle Hotel said, no, you're not having this discount. And so of course Harry and Meghan couldn't stay there. Now it's interesting because it makes me think, well, is their funds, and I do think this, I think their funds are depleting quite rapidly. So they probably couldn't afford to stay in this Carlisle Hotel. So they wanted this discount. Or they've got this huge sense of entitlement, which I do also think is there as well, where it's kind of like, well, I'm Prince Harry and I'm Meghan Markle, we're the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Can we have this huge discount? Well, the Carlisle Hotel said, no, you're not. So I mean, imagine that this really put them out. So, but rather than still stay there, either because they couldn't afford it or they were just so put out by the fact they couldn't have this discount, they somehow then decided to stay with a friend. Now, apparently, from what somebody has also stated, is this is the same person who allowed them, when they did their Netflix docuseries, there were certain things that were done, certain footage that was done, certain when they were being spoken to, the interviews was done in this, apparently this friend's place. And there have been rumours to say that it was potentially Gayle King's. Now, if they're so worried about this being seen, then why were they allowing it to happen in the docuseries? They've used this same place in this docuseries. It showed where she was getting change for something. It's the same place. What I think is that they didn't want the paps seeing them slumming it. And that's because image is everything to a narcissist. And I think They wanted to be seen to be going into this prestigious Carlisle hotel. And of course, they couldn't do that because the Carlisle has turned them down. So of course they couldn't find somewhere else. So perhaps because it was too short notice. And so what they then did was they then obviously then decided to stay at the same place that they stayed in before, but they didn't want to be seen going into this place. Because if they were that worried, like I say, why would they have used it for the docuseries? Why would they be that worried about it? And the other thing as well is that they could have just walked into any hotel, but they didn't. They didn't. So they were worried, I think, about being seen going into this particular person's. And I'm not sure if I believe it's Gail King's, but I wonder if it's somebody that they don't want to be associated with publicly. So I possibly think that was why they didn't want to be seen going into this place. But the problem you have, which is what a lot of the paps have come out and said now, because a lot of them have come out and said, this was the fact that they don't play the game. She called backgrid, like she always does. And I think TMZ were also tipped off as well. And so they turned up. They were told they were going to get their shot. And Harry and Meghan didn't do it. They literally got them walking into their vehicle at the end. They went through this, the side entrance or whatever it was when they first got there. So they didn't get their shot really then, apart from one where it was with her and the three of them together. Then apparently they were supposed to get shots when they come out. They didn't. They literally walked straight into their vehicle, into their blacked out SUV. And so then, well, they were told that there was potentially going to be a dinner. That didn't happen. So they were going to get shots for their dinner. You know, you've got to remember that for the paparazzi, whether you like them or don't like them, this is their bread and butter. You know, this is where they get their money. But it also, you know, you cannot court the press. You cannot court the paps when it suits you. It doesn't work that way. They don't work that way. So when you tip them off, that's basically saying, we want you there. We want to give you these photographs. So they were tipped off, and then Harry and Meghan decided not to play the game. So they decided not to give them their shot. They didn't go for dinner. They drove around randomly, apparently, just because they wanted to not go to where they were supposed to be going, which doesn't make a lot of sense because you could just have gone anywhere. Their security team was just, you know, was also in. So this whole thing of like they were being followed by 6 SUVs. 3 of the SUVs were apparently their security team. So what was then odd was that they then got out of this secure vehicle and then got into a yellow taxi cab. And if you haven't seen my other video on this, I have done that, and I will put that up at the end. I believe that she got out of that because in blacked out windows, you're not seen, you don't get the shot, you don't get all the notoriety, you could just be anybody, but not many people drive around in blacked out SUVs. But Harry couldn't get his footage either. So I think they then got into a yellow cab because they wanted to be seen. And then they drive up and down a few back streets. And of course, the paps are following them. But apparently what also has come out is that it wasn't the paps that were driving crazy. It was their vehicle. They were not wearing seatbelts. They were driving erratically, zigzagging all over the road. So, of course, the paps are following them. But it was them that were driving erratically, not the paparazzi. And this is all coming out now. You know, so this whole thing has been, in my opinion, one huge setup that has backfired fundamentally everywhere for them. Now, I'm guessing they wanted to utilize this situation. I think she wanted to get her, oh, look at me, I'm so famous. And I think she, like I've said in the previous video, I think she wanted to draw attention away from the fact that Disney were having this thing, the Kardashians were there, because you don't see Taylor Swift or Justin Bieber or anybody else who go to New York behaving this way. They don't get chased. They don't in that sense, you know, they don't get, because they know how to play the game. Because when you are an A-list celebrity, when you do that, you're left alone. And the thing is, you want to be left alone for the most part. So you know that when you turn up to events, the paparazzi are going to be there. So with Harry and Meghan, who tip off the paps, whereas most A-listers don't, they, you know, I mean, create big ones. I mean, we know that there's certain people that do. But with Harry and Meghan, it's like, because they're so desperate, well, I say she is desperate to be famous, she tips them off. And then she just plays Russian roulette with them. And so, of course, they were annoyed. They were angry. So they followed. And then, so then it backfires, because they then blame the paparazzi and then turn it into this similar Diana situation, which is what their crazy fan base have come up with. Oh, that they're trying to be unalived by the royal family, the same as what happened to Diana, which is utterly ridiculous. The fact that they actually think that the Queen, who absolutely at that time especially adored her children, and she was actually very fond of Diana. I think Diana disappointed her on a lot of occasions in the way that she behaved, but she was very fond of Diana, and Diana was also very fond of the Queen. She might have had this obviously turbulent relationship with her husband at the time, but she was very much in a sense connected to the royal family, and she understood the royal family and what came along with that. And she understood William's position in the fact that he is going to be future king. And also because of the relationship that Charles had, you know, he might not have been the perfect father. There are plenty of parents out there that are not perfect parents. But if they actually think, well, if they actually had used the brain they were given, and they understood the fact that there was never going to be any chance that the royal family were going to be responsible for hurting William and Harry by removing their mother. Absolutely not. They would never in a million years have put a situation in place to hurt William and Harry like that. It just no. So the fact that they think that is because of all the conspiracy theories, which is utterly ridiculous, and the fact that what they fail to, and this is why it frustrates me that the British press gets such a hard time. They're not perfect, don't get me wrong. And I think, like, especially at the moment when they just, just are ridiculous in not printing the truth anymore. But I think the fact that, the British media is very different to the paparazzi. So the fact that the paps were chasing in France, it wasn't even in the UK, it was in France. But somehow the British press is still targeted. I'm sure that some flew over there, but, a lot of it was the French media, the paps. And they were speeding. They were speeding in a tunnel with the driver was over the limit, not wearing their seatbelts. It's not the same situation. But of course, their fan base is so deluded in the way they think that they just don't see that. But what doesn't help was when Harry and Meghan were the first people to put the statement out. If they hadn't released a statement, nobody would have known. Nobody would have known. But they put the statement out. They were the first ones to release the statement to the media about this alleged catastrophic car chase that happened in New York. So celebrities don't behave, A-listers don't behave this way, but these are so almost like Z-listers, if you like, because they just crave that attention. Well, like I say, she does. But what Harry then does is then put the association, like this was a time when I really did realize how hard, how devastating this, or how scary this was for my mum. It's like he puts in the association again with Diana. And of course, that's what everyone jumps on. But you still get the delusional fan base, even with all of the evidence, even with the mayor coming out, even with NYPD coming out making a statement, Backgrid making a statement, the paps coming out and saying this didn't happen. You have the taxi driver coming out and saying it didn't happen the way that they're saying it did. Yes, they looked a bit scared, but I'm sorry, but when you're in a cab for 10 minutes, a bit like when they're in their Netflix docuseries, you can act scared. But no offense, she looked like the cat that got the cream. Every photograph that was taken with her in the taxi, she's smiling. Doria looks either asleep or she's looking on her phone. She looks completely unfazed. The only person that looks actually frustrated is Harry, who's filming. So, but he can't be that scared because he's there with his camera filming. And and which I think there is footage for his court case where he will say, look, this was a scary situation. We were being chased around New York. You know, this is why I need IPP status. And for her, it's just, look at how famous I am. We're being chased by the paparazzi. But it has backfired because everybody has come out and said, this is just not possible. It doesn't happen. People don't behave this way. And now they've come out and demanded that TMZ, the Backgrid, give them the photographs and any footage they've taken. And of course, they've come back and said, no, we're not. This is not the UK. You don't get to make these demands. This is not happening. So they've gone into hiding. We have not heard a single thing from them, apart from, like I say, their flying monkey that puts out his little things. Nothing. And then in amongst all that, we apparently had their 5th wedding anniversary. Nothing come out. Not a thing. Not a thing. And of course, then what's also come out, and there's a lot more rumours now coming out, a lot more things are coming out in regards to their relationship is in trouble. And you know me, I have been saying for a very, very, very long time, if you go back over my videos in regards to Harry and Meghan, right from near the beginning, I have said they're not together. This is a business arrangement. I don't believe they've been together for well over a year, I would say. I think that this is a business arrangement. They get together when they absolutely have to. I do not believe they live together romantically. I just don't. And I've said this from the word go, because if you know anything about narcissistic relationships, you have got 2 people that are very explosive. Harry is very hot-headed. He's very explosive. And she is also going to be very similar. And this does not make for a harmonious relationship. So I do not believe these 2 are together. We never see them out and about with their so-called alleged children because, well, you know my thoughts on that. And I've done various videos on that as well. But also as well, it is now coming out. Let me just make sure that I get this correct. The fact that Meghan wasn't wearing her wedding ring at the event. So 5-year anniversary, and she's stepping out without her wedding ring on. And if you noticed the other day when I did a video, I said that she wasn't wearing her engagement ring. You could see some ring on her finger, but it was not her engagement ring. And people said, well, she was hiking, so maybe, you know, she wasn't wearing it. But yet she was wearing all her other thousands of dollars worth of jewelry, but yet not wearing her engagement ring, but wearing her wedding ring. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But apparently she wasn't wearing it this time either. And also Harry apparently has been spotted staying in various hotels. Just going to make sure that, staying in various hotels by himself. And of course their fan base again make it seem like, oh, that's not really an issue. You know, that's not really a thing. Yeah, it is a thing. If you're happily married, supposedly, especially with these 2 that are trying to get the world to believe that they're happily married, why on earth, when you've supposedly got 2 children, would you choose to stay at these bungalows apparently that he's been staying in, and these particular hotels he's been staying on his own on a regular basis? That tells you there's problems. And I have said this before, they're not together. So I think he's over there. I think he's staying in various places where he can stay. And I think she is holed up somewhere. I don't believe she's in that Montecito mansion. I think that was possibly a tax dodge thing. There is a possibility they might have used the little cottage that was apparently on side. And I did show you at some point, when they first moved in, I think about 6 or so months after they, or maybe it was a bit less, after they'd apparently moved in. And I will put the proof up here. I'll show you up here. This particular mansion has been used for various film work. And I was able to almost hire this property out. I got right through to the payment stage. I was able to fill in all the paperwork. I was able to literally go through the dates that it was available. I was able to do that and I got right through to the payment stage where it asked me to put my credit card in. Now, obviously I didn't do that because I'm not, it was a lot of money, and I don't have that kind of money. So I wasn't going to hire out the Montecito mansion for a film that was never going to happen. You know, I just made some stuff up, and it allowed me to go right through to the payment page. Like I say, I should put that up here so you can see that. So it showed me they don't live there. They don't live there. Because if that was the case, you've got a Prince of the UK, so he's a member of the UK royal family, who apparently has his wife and his one child at the time. Why would you be able to hire out the very place where they've supposedly bought and they live in? That makes no sense. That just wouldn't happen for security reasons, for the fact that this is supposedly a family home, but it allowed me to go right through to almost booking it. Now, at the time when I did it, I was on Twitter, and I put this up publicly on Twitter. And then all of a sudden, when it started to gain a bit of traction, and all of a sudden the website then that it was on went down. Now, I'm not saying that that was because of what I put up. Maybe other people had done the same thing and cottoned onto it. But I then went back on again just to check. I think it was like a week or so later, and suddenly it wasn't there. But I kept the screenshots and I kept the proof of the fact that I was able to nearly hire this Montecito mansion out for a made-up film that I was never going to make. And yeah, so that tells me that I don't believe that they live there. And I never have believed they live there. I think they possibly, they either rent it or somebody bought it, and they possibly rent it from those people. And it's either used as a tax dodge or something, but I do not believe they live there. And there has been people that have gone past there. They've said it doesn't look lived in. There's been nothing where people have, I don't know, put drones or something. There's no evidence that anybody lives there. The gate, there's like a gatekeeper, or not gatekeeper, but you know, they have as you go in, you know, and you have someone stand there that kind of monitors, like security guard or something, like an off, like small little box office type thing. You know what I mean? I'm probably really not explaining this very well, but it's overgrown. It's like there's just nobody there, and so I don't believe that they live there. I don't. And so, in my opinion, if they are in that place, and it's possible that there is apparently a little cottage that's there, and it's possible that she lives there, but I don't believe they're in this huge mansion at all. There is never any, apparently there's never any rubbish, because people have been there, so there is nothing. And I don't believe anything they say. So I do think that their money is depleting. I think they are not in the best situation at all. I think they are not together. I think they are, everything is falling apart for them. Now, I'm not saying that I'm sitting here rubbing my hands with glee. I'm not somebody that's ever going to want to really feel badly, because that's not about them. It's not about what they do or do not deserve. That's just not me as a person. I don't want to be that type of person. But I do think that people have consequences. And in my opinion, this is consequences for the way Harry and Meghan have behaved. I think the royal family, albeit they're not perfect, but have behaved impeccably. I feel it's very sad that with the coronation was amazing, but I feel sad because it seems that as if Camilla has kind of gone into hiding, and she has been quite trashed, actually. I've seen some really, I mean, she's always had a lot of negativity, but I think with the coronation, she's been, I really feel quite unfairly attacked. And I think that's really sad, because it seems to be, I mean, people forget that she is, you know, she's an older lady, and this probably was a very huge thing for her. And I find that quite sad, but in some ways, this stuff that Harry and Meghan have done have now actually deflected from all of that, because this is an absolute travesty. And this is what happens when you behave the way you do. And Harry and Meghan are now learning that now the Americans are saying, we've had enough. We don't want you here either. They are fast running out of places to go because nobody is interested in them. And this now, with this whole catastrophic car chase that didn't happen, has now been, I think, well, I think, yeah, this is probably it for them. So whether or not they are going to, we might now see that this discard happening, oh God, honestly, discard. It's not a phase, it's the event when she discards him. This could happen a lot sooner now, because I believe behind closed doors, she is going to be blaming him for everything. She'll be blaming him. She'll be blaming his family. She'll be blaming them for everything. Because in a narcissist's mind, it's never their fault. So whatever is happening now, yeah, it's literally going to be his fault or his family's fault that she's failing in every aspect. Why she's not part of the Hollywood elite will be because of Harry. So I do feel that this discard will be happening probably quite soon. If she has found somebody else. If she hasn't, then she might still hang on to him. It really does depend on if she has found somebody else. She might have someone in the pipeline. I don't know. But this has been, I mean, apparently she's up for is it a Gracie Award or something? She's on to do with her. But again, this is what the media do. They make it seem like, oh, she's up for another award. But if you actually look at the website, there are I'd say over 100 winners. But none of them get mentioned. She gets mentioned. And it frustrates me because it makes it seem that she's the only person that's won the award. No, she's not. She's not the only person. There's quite a few categories, and in each category there's about 10, 20 people that have won the award. And she's one of, like, say, 20 that have won the award. And again, you know, but there's no, and it's supposed to be tomorrow, because obviously I'm recording this today, Monday. So it's tomorrow. So I think she's up for this award tomorrow. But yeah, so we'll see if she turns up. But I have a feeling that she's not even possibly going to turn up to that. I think that they're in hiding at the minute because they're probably very embarrassed about what's happened. But we'll see. So let me know what you think in the comments, guys, as you always do, which I love. And I'm so sorry that I haven't got back to many of you in regards to what is your comments and everything. As most of you know, my son is home, and he got home last week. He was supposed to come on the Saturday, and he actually turned up early to surprise me. I cried my eyes out, I'm not gonna lie, and it was the most amazing but emotional to see my son again. It's been, I think, 8 months since I've seen him, and so it's been a bit of a whirlwind. I've met his girlfriend. She is just wonderful. She's from Canada. She's a real sweetheart, and so I'm getting to know her. So this has been a bit of craziness, and yeah, they've just got from there. They've had a lot of jet lag, but he will come on. He said he's going to come on the camera, and he's going to come and say hi to you all. But I'm just letting them get settled. They're catching up with family, friends, and so it's been a bit of an emotional whirlwind. But it's been no words really, because I'm glad to have him back. I mean, he's here for a month, and then obviously he's going back to Australia. Don't even want to think about that bit yet. But so I'm just, at the minute, it's just lovely having him here, and I'm so happy to have him here. So if I am a little bit lapse on the comments, or I'm not doing as many videos, it's because I am spending some quality time with him. But I will keep you up to date with most things, as you know. So just please bear with me. I'm not disappearing. It's just that I am spending some quality time with my son, which I know you all understand. So yeah, so in the meantime, have a wonderful rest of the day, whatever you're doing. I will be back probably Wednesday. What are we today? Monday. Yeah, so maybe Wednesday or Thursday, I'll try and do another video if I can. But I will be talking about the court case, keeping you up to date with that. So as always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't gone across to my other channel, please do. It is called Tea and Therapy. I know this was what this one was originally, but this is TNT, which is, it could be tea and therapy. the original, or what I call it, it's Tea and Truth, or Truth Talking. But yeah, it's Truth Talking with a touch of psychology, because I break things down for you. But yeah, so go across and give that a watch. The link is in the description box below. If you would like to treat me to a cuppa, the link is also in the description box below, or you can also click just above the subscribe button. The little icon is there. You can join me on Instagram. I'm on Rumble as well. Yeah, if you would like to email me, all my links are in the description box. My PO box, email. If you would like to buy some of my merchandise, that's also there. So yeah, everything you need to know will always be in the description box of every video. And some things are also in my bio on my YouTube page. But yeah, as always, I will see you next in the next video. So you take care. As always, I love you, I appreciate you, but most of all, I respect you. Bye.
Come to America. They don't understand America. America has a tragically short memory, number one. So even if they did come over here as refugees, as migrants, we'd forget immediately, which we did. South Park destroyed them, the Worldwide Privacy Tour. His book, sold a lot, but it was like a nothing burger. Who cares? And people just got sick of them. They came, they rented a big mansion in Montecito, and they proceeded to be annoying. They had a big deal with, I believe, Netflix, and then there was a Spotify deal. So they came to America, rented a mansion, and immediately started to monetize the horrible things they had gone through. And everybody eventually got sick of them because it was so crass, and everybody could see immediately what they were both about. They're hucksters. Now, I know people in LA that know them, and all they want to do is hang out with celebrities. And I was at a celebrity party the other night talking to somebody about this, and they go, these people are just, it's constant with them. She was texting the person I was with there. And no, you can't come. They're like low-grade reality stars that are trying to attach to anything. And I'm literally at the party, they're showing me text of this woman begging people to hang out. Meghan and Harry thought they were going to come to America.